going to just unmute him and get him going. All yours, buddy.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Hands up. Awesome. Right on. My name is Joel. I'm a recovered alcoholic from Vancouver, BC. And yeah, thanks for having me. And welcome to anybody new, anybody coming back, and anybody still drinking. One of the things, just a little aid for your guys' meeting. One of the things we do is we just mute on entry, and we don't allow them to unmute themselves, and then that solves that interruption problem. But that's just what we do for the Big Book study, just because it's big, and if everybody had the option, it would just be a gong show, right? So it's just one of the things we do. Anyway, a little bit of my experience. I got 22 years of untreated alcoholism. So I got quite a bit. I got 22 years of what not to do. So and one of those things is, to sum it up, is not run the show and beat the game. So what that means is I suffered with a lot of delusional ideas. And there was a lot of times where I'd only want to stop drinking if I'd get to that rock bottom state. But if I'm honest with you, that didn't really last long. The rock bottom looked like I lost money, I lost friendships, and a lot of us would come in because we end up broke, some of us, right? But I never really had a desire to stop my drinking. So the delusion that I was suffering from for such a long time, and our book talks about it, is page 30, is the obsession to control and enjoy our drinking. Well, that delusion persisted for quite a long time. And what a delusion means is a psychotic idea, right? I was left without the understanding of why I kept thinking like this, right? So for a long time, I didn't want to quit my drinking. For a long time, I didn't even want to stop. So these were some key factors in my downfall, suffering from untreated alcoholism. So my first meeting I showed up to, I was 16 years old. It was with one of my ex-girlfriend, obviously, but she took me there. And then my real first AA meeting when I was 17, the first one I went to, I just went for her. I really didn't believe AA would work because I thought love would solve all my problems. 16, young, and just ignorant. And, I had that Julius Caesar mentality where I wanted to take over the world at a young age and just dominate anything. You know what I mean? Right? Just self-will run riot. And, there's something maladjusted in my life, obviously, at that time, because I was doing things at 16 that adults just cringed at, right? Like, I don't got a good track record, and I'm really not going to get into it on the online Zoom, but I did a lot of things that cost a lot of people a lot of problems and would have put me away for a very long time. And I was not leading a very good life by no means. I was introduced to, my background's Italian-Irish. I was mentioning a little earlier. I was introduced to a lifestyle which I always dreamed about, and it involved a lot of, backdoor institutions where there was a lot of gambling and a lot of stuff like that. And I was able to, at a young age, 13, I got a job at a cafe, and in the back they did the horse track, right? So I was a bookie's helper, and I was running around with packages of money, like, I was going from shops to shops, and we got a place down here called Commercial Drive, and all those were intertwined. All the bookies were intertwined, and a lot of places had rackets, and little other places had backdoor casinos too, right? So I'm introduced to this at a young age. I really enjoy the environment, right? My drinking is not really going, too hard at that time. I'm 13, working my way up, and then 17 is where I really picked up, and a lot of outside dry goods helped me to hit a really, really bad bottom at a young age. I got to a place where I was about 90 pounds, and I needed oxygen so I could breathe. At 19, I couldn't. I had gotten into a horrible accident. I'm laying in the hospital, and no one even knows I'm there. And like my family, nothing. I've been missing for quite a while, and just I was living a life that was a solo mission. I really rebelled at a young age towards society and towards anything that had me doing anything you wanted me to do, and I was always living by my own terms, right? So there was many times where I came into AA and I was told good orderly direction. Well, if you're a guy like me, sorry. And if you're a guy like me, that messed me up a little bit. Remember, I can't remember. Remember, when I'm on a
All
roll.
right, sorry, buddy. That one got through. We're locking it from here out. So,
No worries. Yeah, no. If you're like me, you can't remember. Remember. But no, where was I at now here? Yeah, what was I saying?
Dottie, you got that? I can't remember.
He can't remember either.
I
Well,
can't
there we
remember.
go. Well,
You were talking about when you were 13.
oh yeah, so we got to 17 now. And I'm already having, see all the brain damage I did? Oh my God. Trying to stay sober on my own accord. I need God in my life, I'll tell you. You know, and thank God I found it today, but a little bit more of the past. Anyway, let's fast forward to my last year. Just know that for 22 years, I was suffering on my own accord. I was trying to beat the game, meaning I was trying every means at those times to quit without spiritual help. I was trying every means to try to control and enjoy. I never really wanted to quit drinking. Now let's go to my last year of drinking, 2017. So at the time, I had a fiance, beautiful woman. I have full custody of my son. I've had him for 6 years. I've got everything, all the promises that everybody talks about, the money, the prestige, the relationship. I had it all. Yet I could not stop drinking for the life of me. And so I lost it all, obviously, of course, except my son. But I never really had a relationship with him. My relationship was all focused around drinking, selfishness. What can I do to fix myself? And what that looks like is I need to go to the gym so I can't be a parent. I need to go to work so I need you to watch my kid. I need to find a relationship so I'm going to ignore my responsibilities and all my responsibilities for average people that are quite normal for them to to go through and to adhere to and to be responsible about. These problems were piling up and they become astonishingly difficult to solve. So a lot of my time I tried focusing it on trying to fix those problems. Yet I still didn't understand what it meant to be alcoholic, right? And if you were to ask me what an alcoholic was, I would say, well, it's everybody like you drink too much, you got all these problems, and you go to AA and you put the plug in the jug, and you try to surrender each day and remind yourself about step one, and you accept that you're an alcoholic, and then blah 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 blah. And that's what I tried doing for 22 years. And nowhere does that explain what alcoholism is. So here I am, 2017, October 28th. I'm waking up in my own blood, or not my own blood, someone else's blood again, in my house again. Don't remember the night again. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I promised that night I wasn't going to drink. And there I was, waking up drunk again, hungover. And at this time I tried for a solid 4 months to stop. I was with another girl, Italian girl, good background, and beautiful, gorgeous, good head on her shoulders, everything, everything a guy could want in a future wife. And I'm promising her every other day that I'm going to stop drinking. So she wanted to stay with me, so I really think she needs Al-Anon. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Some of you guys get it. But anyway, so there I am, and you got to remember, a month prior to me quitting, I stole rope from my work, and I measured it out, and it was going to be enough to snap my neck. And I wanted to jump over by my house here. It's called the Iron Workers Bridge, and it's just a walking distance. I could have done it in the middle of the night and gone down there, and just nobody would have known, and it would have been real easy, and that would have been it, right? But one thing that stopped me from doing that was I can't have my son being the kid that grows up. Hey, your dad was the kid. Like, this is the idea going on in my head, right? You got to remember, I didn't want to do this. There was no reason why. Like, I did not want to, but I didn't know how to stop drinking. I was faced with that jumping off place. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't live with it. I couldn't live without it. No new miracle of control would enable me to do it. I couldn't control and enjoy my drinking, and I couldn't stop my drinking. I was faced with this, for once, this real dilemma, right? I was able to quit really hard substances. Like, I haven't done hard drugs for almost going on 9 years. So I was faced with this, but it's just drinking. Why can't I stop? And this is what really hit me. This is what was like, this smashed me in a place where I did not know how to get out. And I couldn't just come to the meeting, plug the jug, and surrender. Like I was surrendering every other weekend, promising I'll never do it again. There I am doing it again. Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind. I could not stop myself from picking up that drink. And so then I'm sitting in my car because I didn't want to do the bridge thing. And I thought if I go in the car, someone will find me, and it will be less humiliating for my son. So here I am, I'm, just profusely crying. I'm in my woes. I still stench, right? The sweat from a 2-6. You know what we smell like after drinking a 2-6, right? Just it's coming out of your pores and everything. You're shaking. Cold sweats, all my sleep, and so anyway, sitting in the car and I'm screaming out to God, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm mad, right? I'm like, I need some fucking help here. And this is the first time I really asked him for any, like, other than selfish things. Some of us have prayed, oh, hey, do this for me. I promise I'll go to church again. I promise the moon and back. And then as soon as we get it, we thanks, and maybe next week. So that was how my relationship with God was for a very long time. So I never understood God at all. I had no relationship with him. If anything, it was a selfish, self-centered relationship, and it was one-sided. But this day, he showed up with hellfire for sure. Because I cried out. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I need fucking help. And then the idea to call my brother came out of nowhere. I haven't talked to him in almost 2 years, but for some reason he popped in my head because he's a member of AA. So I phoned him up and I said, "Hey Santino, I need you to pick me up. I'm about to off myself here. I need some help, man." And thank God he answered, because there was a few times during my drink where I called him to ask him for money. He wouldn't pick up my phone call, but this day he did. So he picked me up and took me to a nooner, and then I didn't hear nothing there. I heard the same old bullshit: surrender, acceptance. All I do is for me, recovery, for me, for me, for me. And I just heard the same shit, and it was garbage. And I heard no one talking about the way I drink. Nothing. Oh yeah, I got DUIs and this and that. I said those are consequences. That's not alcoholism. I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is bullshit. And then he takes me home, and then I'm like, hey man, can we go to another meeting? And I'm putting a lot of faith in this, and I'm just like, there's something in me saying you gotta go. So I go to this Monday night speaker meeting, and here I'm listening to a guy who's Iranian, who is coming up on 4 years sober, and he's talking alcoholism. He's talking about, I have no control when I drink. I got the phenomenon of craving. When I'm drinking, I lose all control of my liquor consumption. I'm like, yes. And then he's talking about, and then I don't want to drink. I make a lot of sweet promises. I never want to do it again. And then suddenly I'm drinking again. I'm like, that's it. For the first, and then the rest of his share, my ears were open. I was like listening to this guy intently. And at the end of it, a tear came down. I raised my hand. I said, I'm coming back. I never got to share my story or anything. And I was ready to leave. And I was like, wow, that was really good meeting. I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing this meeting again. Well, that guy, so this is God here, all over it, all over. And that guy who was sharing came up to me at the end of the meeting. He says, and I'm going to do the best to do an Iranian accent right now. He goes, hey, buddy. I go, hey, what's going on? He goes, give me your phone, buddy. And I go, yeah, here's my phone. He goes, okay, here's my number. You call me when you want to go to the big book and you're going through any links. Okay, buddy? And he walked away. And I said, what the hell is that? Go through the big book, any links? I've never heard this before. 15 years in and out of AA. This is the first time I'm hearing big book, any links, and all that stuff, right? So I'm like, and he's Iranian, and I was a bit of a little shit when I was younger, and I had a lot of prejudice towards other ethnicities, right? I was a little bit of a, my upbringing, it was very Italian, Irish, and I had a lot of outside opinions, which I'm not going to get into. But my perception. But here I am, and this guy, but what really intrigued me is he came up to me. Here I am, I'm dying, and he came up to me and he showed me something. He showed me, hey, there's people that want to help, and I was like, wow. And so I phoned him up the next day, and I'm bawling. I'm in tears, right? And I go up and I phone him up and I say, hey, listen, Essie is his name. And I say, Essie, I've never gone through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I want you to be my teacher. I'll be your student. And I'm crying really hard at this point. And I won't argue with you, but I need you to show me what you were talking about last night because I'm dying. And he said, okay, buddy, I'll be there in about 15 minutes, okay? And he came over and he 1, 2, 3'd me right there. He said, listen, the doctor's opinion, you have a physical allergy to alcohol. I'm like, that makes sense because I never knew about it. I'm like, but that makes sense. That's why I can't safely drink. He's like, so we smashed the delusion that you can control and enjoy your drinking, buddy? I'm like, oh yeah, let's smash that. So the great obsession, I got to smash that idea. Why? Based off truth and the doctor's opinion. If I can't safely drink it, then I'm not going to think that I can control and enjoy it. Bang, smash that one. Here's the second one. How many times you tried to quit, buddy? I said 15 years of it. He says, so I guess you can't beat the game? I said, what game? He's like, it's on page 23, buddy. Go see, beat the game. The obsession to beat the game. My over compulsive desire to try to fix self with self. I said, I can't fix me. He says, then you'll be on human aid, buddy. I started laughing. I said, so what do I need? He's like, you need to be willing to seek God, my friend. I said, I got no problem doing that. You tell me I gotta seek this relationship. Yeah, let's do that. Because I cannot continue this way of life anymore. I'm scraping by. I'm in the rears. I'm a longshoreman. We make pretty good money, eh? And I've got nothing in my bank account. I'm relying on my family, and they're just sick of me crawling to them every time, making all these sweet promises. I'm going to people I know asking for loans. I'm at a place where I'm just incomprehensible demoralization. I'm just pathetic at this point, right? Like, you just don't know what to do with a guy in my mental condition. So step 2, I became willing to believe that the book would show me a solution that would restore me to sanity. Step 3, I made a decision to seek this relationship with God as they understood him. The first 100 men and women, if you read the foreword of the first edition, it says, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we recovered is the main purpose of the book. Step 2, I became willing to pursue that solution in the book. Step 3, I became willing to make a decision to seek God through doing a moral inventory to see my shortcomings, my defects of character, and why self could have never fixed self, and to let God be now the first person or the first thing that I go to counsel with. So when I get angry today, I revert to God instead of my thinking mind. I say, well, wait a minute, God, I can see my instincts now are out of whack, and I really need help with this issue. What's the issue? Anger. It's specific. You can only think of one problem at one time. But it will lead you and it will make you spiritually sick across the board, right? So if I get angry, what happens as a result of that? Then I react. And then what's the result of that? And then I get into fear of how I reacted, and then the whole thing keeps crumbling down, right? So as a result of going through the 4 fight, I had a beautiful experience, and what I saw was that any life run on self would hardly be a success, and I needed God more than ever. Step 6 is a reminder that I can never work on my shortcomings or my defects of character. I must always be willing to let him remove those from me. I have to be willing or else I die. Step 7, when I'm ready, I make that prayer and we get out and we do it. And I start recreating the past. I start going up to people and I made the amends. And I went to a library. I robbed the library about 17 years ago for books. I was just drunk one day and I carried this with me. And I go up there and I'm just in humiliation. I go, hey, I'd like to make a contribution to your library. She goes, why? I said 15 years ago, I came here really drunk and I smashed some glass and I robbed her. I stole books from you. And the books I stole were all about like responsibility and like a good way of life, right? And she starts laughing and here I am. I'm like holding the check, like, can you take the money? It was pretty funny, right? And but she gave me a hug and she sent me a letter back saying, hey, thanks for your contribution. It was really nice. And it was really cool but I was in a lot of fear going up that elevator. I remember, hey, God, I know this is what you want me to do, right? So I got given the tools on how to deal with my humanism. I'm no longer suffering from alcoholism because if I was, I'd still be drinking. I no longer suffer from an alcoholic mind because if I was, I'd still be drinking. I don't do things because I'm alcoholic. I do them either because I'm uneducated in mature state or I've never learned these situations yet and I need to ask for help in order to conduct myself in a becoming human kind of way. I don't do things because I'm alcoholic. The only thing I do when I'm because I'm alcoholic is drink, and that's it. I have a solution today for my human problem, and that's to ask God to remove me as much as I can from it so I can be of use to my fellows. Because if I'm thinking about me, how can I sponsor? If I'm thinking only about myself, how can I do the phone shifts for central office? How can I send him a few bucks on my birthday every year when I get a cake or an anniversary, right? And then, at the end of the day, what this whole thing is about is it's not even about you anymore, because you can see, like, what I saw was it was never going to be about me again. I got given the tools so I could enjoy me, but it's not about me. I got to be there for others, right? It was God, my responsibilities, my kid, my job, then myself. It really has got nothing to do about me anymore. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But again, if you're new, you're coming back. Anybody still drinking, and you want to understand what alcoholism is, the doctor's opinion really hits it home, hey, about the allergy, and it tells you unless an entire psychic change, and they start the conversation off light. They go from psychic change to spiritual, right? Because if we tried to blast you with spiritual principles, a lot of people go, I'm not into that, right? Because you got your own ideas about what religion looks like. We're not saying anything about religion. We're saying about spirituality. It's broad, roomy, all exclusive, never foreboding. It's open to everybody. And that's what AA has done for me. That's what the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous has tapped me into. This is everything. This is not my program. It's their program. I adopted their principles, their way of life. Their solution is what I implement each day to keep this conscious contact in my step 11s. Step 11 is the most important step of your entire life. If you're suffering from this, on awakening, throughout the day, I memorize set prayers. I pause when I'm agitated. At night, I go to bed. I say, hey, God, this is where these things, it's a constructive review, which means I'm going to build and grow towards. With what? With this new relationship. And it talks about it on page 25. And then 72 really talks about the new attitude, new relationship. That's what we're trying to do here, right? So anyway, I hope that hit home with some of you. I hope you enjoyed it. Many blessings. If you want, we'll see you on the Big Book Study tonight. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we've got worksheets available. I'll throw my email up in the chat. Anybody can reach out to me, and I love you lots, and God bless.
Thanks, buddy.